Hi everyone, I'm Sandy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I have my rankings for the BookTube prize for the first round. I ended up judging fiction round C or group C this round, and there were a lot of really interesting books in it. A couple we know were not the best for me, and then there were a couple that were just amazing reads. So I'm really excited to share my ranking now that the round is over. So what book did and I'm going to go in reverse order, 6 down to 1. I didn't record anything as I was reading the books. I just didn't have time. So I'm just going to go through and hopefully remember as much as I can about some of the books, because a couple of them are already, the details are already escaping me. But in 6th place, what I have for you is this one, Witness by Jamal Brinkley. This is a collection of short stories, and as with any short story collection, there are some that really work for me and some that really don't. And it was the same with this particular one. I ended up putting it in 6th place only because, again, I'm not a huge fan of short story collections. For me, I find them, like I said, just some are really good and some aren't as good. But that's really the only reason why I put it in the 6th spot. In number 5, I have this one, I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay. This is a Pulitzer Prize winning author. This particular book, though, I read over a year ago. And I had every intention of reading it again, and it just didn't work out. The reason why I ended up putting it in number 5 is because it was utterly forgettable. I struggle to remember a lot of the details about this particular book, and that is really the primary reason why it got put in slot number 5. The books do get better, by the way. So in the number 4 spot, I have this one, August Blue by Deborah Levy. This book is about a concert pianist who in the middle of a performance gets up and walks out. Almost like just overwhelmed, kind of walked out. She ends up traveling and is a piano teacher to different people. It's like she's trying to kind of find herself as she goes through. This particular book for me, the reason why it got put in the 3rd spot, I again think it's going to be a very forgettable book in the end. The writing was decent, but there wasn't anything that I could really seriously connect to from the character perspective. Other than I think she had blue hair. That's one of the few things that I kind of remember about that. So yeah, unfortunately the bottom 3 were solidly in the bottom 3 for me as far as my rankings go. And I wanted to love them, but it just didn't work out. Okay, so in number 3, the last 3 are harder to place, much harder to place. And I had most of these as checked out from the library, which is why I have a picture of them on my iPad for you. In the number 3 spot, we actually have this one, Enter Ghost by Isabella Hamad. When I first read this book, I wasn't sure about it. I actually thought it would rank a little bit lower, but the more I sit with it and the more I think about it, the higher it keeps going in my brain and the more things that I really appreciate about this. The title really refers to kind of something in Hamlet. The story follows 2 sisters who are, one lives in London, one lives in Israel, and one goes to visit her sister. And while there, she's on kind of a leave, she's an actress, she gets asked if she will help participate in putting on a production of Hamlet. And Hamlet is really used as a mechanism to talk about all the political turmoil, and they use that play type of back and forth, even in the characters as they're conversing about different things. That's the part that was a bit off-putting for me, but the more, like I said, the more I sit with it, I understand and get why it was used as a way of kind of communicating. It's very tough at the very end of it. There's a lot of turmoil, obviously, in that part of the world. And this book starts to talk about some of that and really does bring up a lot that has been going on in that particular area of the world. So very well done. This book was also nominated for the Women's Prize. I can't wait to see how it does if it gets to move on to the shortlist. So that was my number 3. All right, my number 1 and my number 2, I waffled back and forth. I would not be upset if either of these ended up making it through to the next round. I would not be upset if Enter Ghost made it through. I don't think I'd really be upset if any of these books actually made it through, but I did waffle back and forth about these 2. And even now I'm like, did I make the right choice for my number 1 spot? I don't know. But what I put in my number 2 spot ended up being this one, Tom Lake by Ann Patchett. This book follows a mother and her 3 daughters and her husband, but he's kind of a side player through much of this particular book. And it is set during the start of the pandemic. So they are in isolation on the family farm, and they have a large amount of fruit that they have to get off the trees. And some of what they're doing is the mother is recounting a time or remembering a time where she acted in a company called Tom Lake, at a theater called Tom Lake, where she happened to know someone who was very, very famous. And so you get to participate in her retelling, and sometimes you as the reader get to know more than actually her daughters know or her husband knew about what actually happened. And it is charming, very well written. I love the mother-daughter dynamic in this, and how each of the daughters were different and how they brought something different to the table. And I thought that that was really lovely. I also like the remembrances of when the teenagers were, or when the girls were young, and how problematic some of them were at certain ages. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I was problematic at times as well. So that was really good. I liked having that insight that the others kind of didn't have. It made you feel like you're being told a secret. I did like that also. I also understand that the audiobook was told by, or read by, Meryl Streep. And so when I was reading this, I kind of had Meryl Streep in my head as the mom character. I don't know if that added to it or not, but I certainly thought that as I went through it. So lovely book. I'm very glad I read it. This is one of my first Ann Patchett books. I definitely want to read more of her work. In fact, in April, I am reading Bel Canto. So I am very excited about that. But this one ended up in the number 2 spot. But remember, I waffle. I waffle back and forth. So in my number 1 spot, what did I end up putting in number 1? It was this one, The Rachel Incident by Carolyn O'Donoghue. This book, the reason why I'm kind of waffling even more now about this one compared to Tom Lake, I remember far more details, where this one, some of the details are starting to escape me already. So I'm wondering if on a longer term kind of timeline, if this will have as big of an impact as Enter Ghost or Tom Lake would. So that's kind of why I'm waffling on it. This particular character, whose name is Rachel, she goes through some stuff in this. She has a best friend whose name is James, and he is her confidant. He is her everything. Through much of this, and not in a romantic way, but in a best friend kind of way. The parts that I loved about this is I loved how their relationship developed. I loved how it impacted things. I liked what ended up being the Rachel incident. I thought that was very well done. Very shocking kind of component, which I can't talk about because I don't want to spoil the book for people. But that part was really well done. And I also liked how it ended in regards to her and her best friend and her relationships. There's one component of it is like, I'm not so sure about, but I really liked her character development, her arc as a character, or her character arc as the story went on, and really appreciated her quite a bit. And I do think about this book still and the things that happen in this book, and I just go, wow, wow, there's a lot that happens. But very, very well done, which is why I ended up putting it in the number 1 spot. But again, waffle, 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 waffle. I feel like these 2 books could flip back and forth. Yeah, the ending of this one too is the other reason why I think I ended up putting it in number 2, because the famous person and kind of that part of it, I was like, really? I'm not sure about that. But that's the only other reason why this one got put in 2 and this one got put in 1. Those are my rankings. Did you read any of these books did you judge for the BookTube Prize? I would love to hear that. What group did you judge? I would love to hear that. I'm really curious to see which of my books made it through to the next round. I'm really hopeful that both of these and Enter Ghost made it. I hope they did. Made it into the next round. I will know after you will know probably before me as this video will come out. I don't know what I'm saying now, but I'm not judging the next round, not because of anything about the BookTube Prize. I just have a lot going on still. And I don't want to short the BookTube Prize and force myself to try and read 6 additional books over the next couple of months. I just don't think it's going to be possible. So maybe I'll join it again in one of the later rounds. We'll see. But yeah, it is always a lot of fun judging this. Thank you to Robert for hosting. It really, all the work that Robert puts into it is absolutely incredible. If you're not subscribed to the BookTube Prize channel, I will leave that linked in the description below for you. You should definitely go check it out. It is a lot of fun. And you do not have to have a YouTube channel to be a judge. So consider that next next year as call for judges are going out. If you're just watching videos, if you're watching YouTube, you absolutely can be a BookTube prize judge. So, but as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks, bye.